to start this off, I have to start off with a certain concept in Jewish identity which most people really are not familiar with, because the term he's going to deal with is a term, he's going to deal with a section of a verse that talks about following Shabbos. And in the verse it says, Gerecha asher bisharecha, that this individual, this term, ger, who is in your midst. Now what is a ger? So in the colloquial terms, a ger is a convert. Okay? Okay, that's when we talk about ger, we talk about converts. We talk about gerus, we talk about conversion. And you hear about this in terms of Israel and stuff like that, and what should be the criteria for conversion in Israel and so forth. And the term that will come up will always be the term gerus or gerut, which is really conversion. The fact is that in a certain way it's not really a good translation, because the status of Jewish identity or the status of someone who's a ger is a little bit more complicated to understand, and really in certain ways, and I'm going to explain this, is that to really understand gerut, the term that we should be using is really immigration. Okay? Okay, in other words, what you're talking about is, when you talk about a Jew by birth or a Jew who converts, the truth is that those two definitions don't click. Jew by birth and then a Jew who converts really reflects two different concepts. But if you talk in terms of a person who's a member of a nation because they were born into the nation, citizenship, you talk in terms of citizenship, you can talk in terms of someone who's a citizen because they're born a citizen, and someone who's a citizen because they became a citizen, right? They immigrated and they became a citizen. So we have in Canada people who are Canadians because they were born Canadians, and we have people who are Canadians because they came to Canada, immigrated, and eventually became Canadian citizens. That would be a more proper way of understanding the gerut issue that involves the state of Israel, but really in terms of Jewish law, in terms of even when you talk in terms of Jewish religious law, really understanding the idea of what we mean by someone becoming Jewish. Now, to understand that, we have to really think about what is Jewish identity. What distinguishes a Jew from a non-Jew? What is the distinguishing characteristic of a Jew? This is not who is a Jew, this is what is a Jew. Okay? And it's a very different question. Who is a Jew tells you how you're part of the group. What is a Jew tells you what is the nature of a group. Whenever you have a group identity, you have to say what's the nature of the identity. If you say the nature of the identity is these are tennis players, then what does it mean? Well, it means they take this big heavy ball and throw it down this alley to knock over pins. Right? Would that be the definition of tennis players? No, it's the definition of a bowler. Tennis players are people who play tennis. Right? So you talk about a definition of that. If you talk in terms of doctors, it's people who practice medicine, or when I'm talking medical doctors. So the truth is, whenever you have a group, you have to have a definition of what the group is. So when you talk in terms of Canadians, what does it mean to be a member of a group called Canadians? Okay? So those are Canadian citizens, and somehow you have to have some kind of standing in the group and be somehow connected to this country. Okay? Is it possible for a Canadian citizen to have never been to Canada? Yes, it's possible. But usually, Canadian citizen means someone who has some connection to the country of Canada, which is usually defined geographically. Right? Can a Canadian citizen have to believe in, I don't know,
the beaver as a glorious animal?
Yeah, or does a Canadian citizen have to have to accept Buddha as the enlightened one? Right? If I take what you say, being Canadian means you have to accept Buddha as the enlightened one. So they say, no, it doesn't. There's nothing to do with accepting Buddha as the enlightened one. Right? You can be Canadian and think Buddha was some guy, and we can sit there and say, listen, the Canadians who believe he was the enlightened one, but it has nothing to do with the definition of the group. Right? It is the definition of the group is based upon you're connected to a country. Okay. So the problem is when you ask what is a Jew, what does it need? What is the definition of this group that we call Jews? What does it mean to be a Jew? Okay, and I'm asking, tell me the definition, not how you became a Jew, not what, but what a person says they're a Jew. What does it mean to be part of that group? Any ideas?
Someone who follows Jewish beliefs.
Oh, so you're saying it's someone who follows Jewish beliefs. So someone who does not follow Jewish beliefs is not a Jew. Really? Okay.
My parents say something else.
Pardon?
They, from childhood, were telling me you're a Jew because you were born that way. It's blood, like. It's
yeah. So what does that mean? So what's the? By the way, one of the thing that's coming out here is two different definitions of a group.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying there's a definition of a group based upon belief.
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying it's a definition of a group based upon blood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So the fact is, it's based upon that you are. That you're born Jewish because it's some kind of connection in blood, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a special Jewish gene? Oh, I'm not going to say that, maybe, but somehow if you're like family.
Well, they
You remember this family because you're born into the family, right? Okay.
People who may
Pardon?
statistically prove that they have Jewish genes.
Yeah.
Whatever Jewish genes
more
are.
than even
Okay.
a lot of
Okay.
What's
Jewish
Jewish
cause.
genes? Like,
Yeah, but the fact is that
Yeah.
you know the point is that either way, you're giving a definition of the group, which is great, but you're not. But the point is what is the which we usually don't think about. You have to understand that definition is totally different. Your definition of being born Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so if you, and I compare it to family, if you're going to say a person is a member of a family, is to be a member of the family, does belief matter? If I know a person who in his extended family there are Roman Catholics, Jews, and Muslims, but they're all family. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so every family has nothing to do with belief.
Yeah.
So your definition is totally contradictory to your definition. Now you're saying Jew is belief. So if a person doesn't believe in what you call Jewish beliefs, they're not Jewish, right?
Belief or doesn't follow the religion. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the religion?
So like the holidays and everything.
What's the religion?
No exact religion. Like if they
Well,
follow
it's follow the holidays. How do you follow the holidays?
by celebrating them, or
How do you celebrate them?
depends on the holiday.
Well, no. Let me give you an example. Okay, and this is not meant just to give you an example. Let's say we mark Yom Kippur
Yeah.
by not eating,
Mm-hmm.
right? So someone who eats on Yom Kippur is not Jewish.
Well, I think it's if you recognize the holidays more than celebrating them.
So if you recognize the holidays,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to do anything. You just recognize it.
So if
Okay, so I sort of know there's a holiday called Yom Kippur, okay?
Yeah.
Or there's this day called Yom Kippur, and this person says, I eat on it, but I'm Jewish because I eat on it. And he says, but I know there's a day called Yom Kippur. I know that Jews don't eat on Yom Kippur, right? But I eat on it. Of course, my name is Mr. Smith, and but that's it. But he doesn't. He knows that there's a day called Yom Kippur where Jews don't eat on it. But does that make him Jewish?
Actually, I have this problem almost my entire life in Israel. My peers always came to me and were like, are you keeping Shabbat? Are you doing that? Are you doing that? I'm like, no, our family's not used to do that, so we don't do it. I'm like, so you're not a Jew? And I'm like, and I'm surprised to hear them saying that. I'm like, no way, you're wrong.
Okay, so the fact is that what's happening is a substantial issue in defining what Jewishness is about. By the way, in many ways, when you're talking about Israel, to me, when I look at a lot of the issues in Israel, and they talk about questions of who is a Jew, some of the substantial issue is this issue of what really is a Jew. And that actually was a major disagreement. You see, fact is that had to be a major disagreement between Reform Judaism and secular Zionism, political Zionism. Reform Judaism, basically back in Germany already, basically rejected an idea that Jews will return to Israel. Okay? Because they felt that being Jewish was totally about belief. It was not about any nationalistic side that would say returning to a national homeland. So German Jews, devout religious Reform German Jews, and even in the United States, Reform Judaism in the United States was very anti-Zionist and says Jews do not believe in the return to Zion, return to Israel, and because what Judaism is, or what Jew is a member of a belief. We have a certain belief, and German Jews used to talk about being religiously Jewish and nationalistically German. This was the way German Reform Jews spoke. American Reform Jews also spoke the same way. They were Americans, and they were by religious belief, the same way as a Catholic would be a Catholic, but they're American. Their nationality is American, and their religion is Roman Catholicism, and they say Jews is the same thing. Their nationality is American, and our religion is Jewish. The fact is political Zionism or secular Zionism said exactly the opposite. Secular Zionism said we're a nation. They even looked back and read, when they looked at the Bible, at the Tanakh. Their argument about the Tanakh was that Tanakh was the mythology of the Jewish nation. It was the stories. It reflected the essential values of the nation as a nation. Like it would be comparable the way they looked at the Tanakh. Significantly, they thought it was an important document that tells you what Jewishness is about, but it was like the stories of George Washington. This is what being American is about. It's a story. It's like stories like you'd have in any nationality about the history and even the mythology, even if they were just fables. Like Robin Hood would be, was there really a Robin Hood or not? That wasn't so important if there really wasn't. It told you what it meant to be a Englishman and what was important to be an Englishman. So the truth is that the early Tzionim, the earliest secular Zionists, they looked upon the Tanakh as a significant definition of Jewishness, and that there was David HaMelech and Shaul HaMelech, King Saul. King Saul also was singing with Shlomo HaMelech, like Solomon and of course David. These were what being Jewish was about, and they were very, very adamant about this. In fact, not too people know this, but in Israel they have this thing called the Chidon Tanakh, which is a big test about knowledge of Tanakh. And people here take great pride in it.
They have a chat.
They have it in a lot of schools.
No,
they take
I remember having to take those tests.
Right.
And like Tanakh tests.
Right.
I think that's what it was.
But it was a big test. Across the world. It's an international test.
Isn't it?
Yes, and a lot of religious schools get involved in it, and a lot of times the winner is a religious person. And everyone thinks it's great because it's about the Tanakh. What no one recognizes is that it actually was started by non-religious Zionists. Okay, like David Ben-Gurion was a remarkable scholar, biblical scholar. Okay, totally non-religious, because he said the Tanakh was very necessary for understanding the essence of Jewish nationalism, what nationalism was, what our nation was about. And the Chidon Tanakh was started by secular Zionists to say it's important for Jews, nationalistic Jews, to understand what the Bible was about as telling us what Jewish identity is about as a nation. Now, to really bring home the point on this, in terms of separating it from religion, there was an interesting event that happened in Israel a few years ago. In the Israeli side of the Chidon Tanakh, there's an international contest and an Israeli contest. And in the Israeli contest, they had some finalists. And one of the finalists was a Messianic Jew. You guys know what Messianic Jews are? Okay? Messianic Jews are more popularly known as Jews for Jesus. Okay, so one of the finalists in the Chidon HaTanakh was a girl whose family is Jews for Jesus. And there was this whole controversy, what are we going to do if she wins?
And she's not Jewish?
No, she was Jews for Jesus. She was a Messianic Jew living in Israel, right? Who said, I'm Jewish, nationalistically was defined as Jewish. She knew the Tanakh backwards and forwards. Why? Because in that religion of Messianic Judaism, the Old Testament is very significant. And she really knew the Old Testament. And she was going to be a finalist in this contest. And people were really getting upset. So I believe the chief rabbinate came out and said, we shouldn't hold the finals this year, because it will look terrible if a Messianic Jew wins. And the education department, which was in charge of the Chidon Tanakh, said no. She's Jewish. She can enter any contest.
Oh,
why?
She is Jewish.
She was born to a Jewish mother.
Oh, okay. So
the fact of the matter is that they're looking from a nationalistic viewpoint. And they said, listen, she has the right to be in the contest. She lost in the contest, thank God. But the fact of the matter is that the religious forces, who were very much involved in the contest because there were so many religious people involved in it, they were saying, let's not go on. We don't want to take any chances on this. And the nationalistic forces were saying, she's entitled to run. Okay. But what you're really getting down to is the fact that there are two contradictory, not just overlapping, but they are overlapping, but they're overlapping contradictory definitions of Jewishness. One is nationalistic. What defines you as a member of a nation? Well, it's similar to family. You're born into a nation. Right now, you're a Canadian citizen if either your father or mother are Canadians. In terms of being a member of the Jewish nation, you can only be a member of the Jewish nation if your mother was Jewish. Or you can say you're born into the Jewish nation if your mother is Jewish. That's a national definition. That makes sense if being Jewish is a national definition. Nothing to do with belief, the same way you said that Canadians don't have to have any opinion about Buddha. Being born a Jew, that definition defines a national definition. Okay? On the other hand, your definition about belief, that's really definitions for religions. Okay? Someone's a Muslim, if a person says they're Muslim, what are they telling you? If I have a group of Muslims here, basic Muslims across the board, not about any other issues in it, what does every person who's a Muslim have to accept?
That there's a prophet.
That there is a prophet by the name of Muhammad, and he was the greatest of all prophets. That's what makes you a Muslim. Okay? It's a belief. Okay? Guy walks in and says, yeah, I'm a Muslim, but that Muhammad guy, he's some farmer. You know, Muhammad. Guy walks in and says they're Christian. What do they believe? They had to believe something about Jesus. What, you know, there's a little different, or something about the idea of Jesus or whatever. But the fact is, it's a belief. Person walks in and says, I don't know about the guy. It's irrelevant to me. You're not a Christian. Right now. Now comes the issue when I said the question about Jewish belief. Now the point is that's a religious definition. That defines a religion. So you're basically saying that someone, if they're Jewish, based upon belief, then you're basically saying that being Jewish is a religion, nothing to do with nation. And if it's a religion, then it's based upon belief. Now the truth is that within the group that we call the Jews, within that large group of the Jews, there's actually different beliefs. There's the beliefs of Reform Judaism, beliefs of Conservative Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, and so forth. But at least you're talking in the realm of religion. You're talking about different beliefs. Okay? But then, beliefs, there's Roman Catholics who are Irish. There's Roman Catholics who are Australian. There's Roman Catholics who are from Bolivia. Right? Nothing to do with nation. Okay? And you don't become a Roman Catholic because you're born a Roman Catholic. You're Roman Catholic because of your beliefs eventually. Yeah, you're born a Roman Catholic. So a kid 6 years old says, I'm a Roman Catholic. It means your family's Roman Catholic. But eventually you are defined by what you believe. Okay, a person may say, I don't believe in this anymore, but I was born a Roman Catholic, so I still do some of those, still, you know, have a Christmas tree, because that's, so you have some people on the fringes of any religion who say, I don't really believe in religion, but I do certain actions of that religion. Not because I believe them, but because I'm sort of involved in keeping up the actions of this group. But that group is really tied by belief. Fact is that those two definitions are really contradictory, religion and nation, and somehow they overlap in Jewish identity. And that is something that a lot of people talk about. A lot of people talk about being Jewish means it's a religion and a nation. And then they say, okay, how does that work? And then you start seeing gibberish and avoiding things and so forth and so forth. Right? Then you say, yes, you're Jewish, but you're not Jewish, and this and that. And then you get attacks. I mean, Jews for Jesus, you know, let us say, listen, I was born Jewish. Am I not Jewish? Yes, you are. So I'm Jewish and I believe in Jesus. Well, but you can't be Jewish and believe in Jesus. But you just told me I'm Jewish because I'm born Jewish mother. Yeah, but you're Jewish, but you're not Jewish. Play a dance, you know, like this, you know, skip one. Okay. So the fact is most people avoid that definition. They just are playing. They don't want to take on the controversy, you know. So how do you do that? So what exactly allows for this overlap between nation and religion? Okay, what is a Jew? There is something within us which I would say we understand why you don't think of Jews for Jesus as part of the group, right? We're talking about, let's call being Jews are a group. Here's the group, and somehow we say, you know, something that somehow they're not really part of the group, even though technically they are, but they're not, and so forth. Okay? So how do we get to that point? So what really is this group? Any ideas?
Well, there's two stages. There's the first stage of defining a bare bones Jew, right? So then you're first just defining a Jew as itself, although there is, I guess, if you want to go according to conservative orthodoxy, but our bare bone definition is someone whose mother is Jewish, and then, or someone who converted, whatever that means. But those are the two bare definitions. Then what it means to be a practicing Jew, you're still Jewish, but you're not practicing as a Jew. That's another distinction. So I guess there's a nationalistic side, and then there's kind of, well, it's the religion. There's the two sides.
Yeah, you just said you're Jewish if you're born Jewish. So you're saying that there's Jew and then practicing Jew. Okay, which seems to imply like practicing Jew.
You could be a non-practicing Jew.
So Jews for Jesus are non-practicing Jews?
Yes.
Okay, they're non-practicing Jews. In other words, you're using the term practicing as something like you're sort of acting like Jews should act.
They're not following the tenement of their religion, but they're still part of the religion.
Oh, they're part of the religion.
Yes.
Oh, so you have a person who basically says, and this is a great problem. I'm sorry, we're going to get to a big problem with it when they say that the Bishop of Paris, who was a cardinal and then was one of the people they were talking about making Pope, was a Jew, right? And he almost became the Pope. And there's a story that when his mother passed away, he hid away, changed, every day, went down to some little shul, dressed in totally different clothes, not his regular bishop clothes, and said Kaddish, because he was a Jew. But you're coming up with something, but then you're getting into, well, Jew by conversion. But what you're getting into is there's sort of like a nationalistic definition. Well, but it's part of the religious definition. But even though you really don't believe in the religion, because the Jews for Jesus doesn't believe in the religion. But so you're saying it's the national definition, and then somehow there's this practicing. So it's sort of like there's national, and then there's religion, and you're practicing. Okay, which has some validity to it. We'll see about that. But the fact is, your terminology is still somewhat. You'll see when I present what I think. You'll see how what you're saying sort of connects to what I'm going to end up with. But you need a little bit more fine tuning on the definitions. Yeah.
What about disputes within Orthodox Judaism? An example is, especially in Israel, the issue of which conversions are valid, which conversions aren't valid.
Yes.
There are those who would say that there are multiple Judaisms within Judaism, and people are against other people's Judaism.
Right. And the fact is that when you start defining the religion aspect, like your statement before about beliefs, the fact is most Jews aren't aware of the fact when you ask, well, what's the difference between Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox Judaism, and then you can get into issues of what the difference is between different branches of Orthodoxy, but let's take the difference between Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox Judaism. Most Jews don't recognize that it's really based upon a very different perception of belief. That Reform Judaism does not believe the same things as Orthodox Judaism. For example, a lot of Reform Jews don't recognize it, but Reform Judaism for sure does not believe in an Exodus. Most Reform rabbis, I would say all Reform rabbis today, will tell you that the story of the Exodus, that Jews were ever in Egypt, most likely was made up. Right? They do not believe the stories in the Bible is actually being true. Okay, they're written by man, maybe with maybe some will say with some divine inspiration, and that's why they're not really binding anymore. And they reflected the struggles of Jews with ethical issues and so forth. So that's an aspect of Reform Judaism. It's, I remember once doing a class at Chat.
You have a question.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just finish my statement?
Okay.
Okay. I remember once doing a class at Chat, and this was I think grade 12 class, and mentioning it to someone, and he said, "I'm at Temple Sinai. What do you mean? My rabbi doesn't believe that there really was an Exodus?" I said, "No, go ask him." And he was like shocked. What do you mean? We really don't believe there was an Exodus? We really don't believe there was a Moshe Rabbeinu? I said, well, I think most Reform Jews, most Reform rabbis do not believe, because the religion is based upon, one of the aspects of religion is not necessarily believing in the authenticity of the Bible. It's part of the religion. Yeah.
I think the difference is why people believe in one thing and not the other. It's just belief gives them some kind of like satisfaction or like solace.
Why people believe one thing or another? It's a little bit of a different question. You're right. The fact is that, and this also applies within Orthodoxy. Why people believe one thing versus something else has a lot to do with what gives them satisfaction. Right? Makes them feel good. Okay, a lot of our beliefs are that, not just religious beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of our perceptions, a lot of our come from the fact that we want this to be so. It actually makes us feel better. To make a distinction, but in many ways, Hitler rose to power because Germans needed to feel good about themselves, right? They were defeated in World War I, humiliated by the Allies in the after the war, and they were feeling that they were nobodies. So what happened is when you started people saying we're great, people liked it, so they wanted to believe it. Okay, so the point is you're right about beliefs, that people are attracted to beliefs that they feel comfortable with. But the point is that that's an issue about what makes someone believe in something, and what you should consider in coming to a belief. I mean, the fact is that one of the things that I think is extremely significant is not just is for a person to always recognize why he's believing in something and whether how much his personal wishes are affecting that belief. Okay, because it puts a self-examination of your own issues, and maybe you sit there and say, you know something, maybe I like to believe this, but who says it's really true? It's interesting because I just wrote an article on Huffington Post, because I'm a blogger on Huffington Post, about the Syrian refugee problem, and I said in it that on both sides of the issue there's a lot of rhetoric. Okay, what rhetoric is it? There's people who basically give a whole argument we should not take any Syrian refugees. There's other people who give arguments we should take them all in. And both of them are presenting their arguments, and the way they present their arguments is, I'm totally right, and there's no question I'm right.
I might have read that.
What?
I might have read that.
Okay.
I had to do an essay about it.
Okay, well, I just put it up this week. So, but the fact is that one of the things I said in it is that most people throw out their opinions because they basically have an emotion, they don't want to think about it, and they'll say, I'll go with this, and here's my argument. In other words, they basically say, it's sort of like, the whole story about that guy who was walking along in the forest and saw, and as he walked in the forest, he kept on seeing this guy, the arrows in a bullseye. He kept seeing with every tree there was a bullseye and the arrow right in an arrow right in the center, over and over again while he was walking through this forest. And then he came across this guy with a bow and arrow and looked like the archer. He says, "Are you the guy who just shot all those bullseyes?" He said, "Yeah, that was me." He said, "Wow, you're really, really good. Can I see how you shoot it?" He says, "Let me tell you my little secret. What I first do is I shoot the arrow. And then after I shoot the arrow, I draw the bullseye after I shoot the arrow." That's the way a lot of people are, where they basically, here's my opinion, I'm right, and now I'll find any argument that backs me up. But the fact is that you do have to be self-questioning and so forth. So that's part of that issue. We have to be that. Yeah. Sorry.
It's along similar lines, but from a different vantage point. What about discourse about Israeli politics? It's very common for people that are such and such perspective to be castigated as being bad Jews, false Jews, self-hating Jews, etc.
Right.
Simply for having opinion X or Y on a particular topic.
Right. Right. The fact is because people already have opinions and so forth. But what you're getting at is that what I'm saying is that belief, what you said before, belief is you have a certain personal motivation of why you believe in something. Something about it that attracts you. You have to be you have to be introspective about what the attraction is of your belief, and in that introspective you become more aware of contrary viewpoints. Just to the aside, I always find it significant, I mentioned this many times, that in the famous arguments between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, right?
Where two rabbis.
From the two major Talmudic schools. And the school of Hillel always quoted the school of Shammai first. Why? Because in developing their own opinions, they made sure they knew the other opinion. Okay, so they knew the other side. What I'm getting at, though, let me get back to what I want to get at today, is that we have an aspect where we call Jewishness, where we look in terms of belief. We have an aspect which is somehow a connection to nationhood, and we put them together, and we say these opposite things, where you're Jewish if you're born Jewish, but you really have to believe this, and then we have this disagreement what you should believe in, and then one person is saying, like you were saying before, and people come up to you and say, keep Shabbat, right? And you're so very nice. So David Ben-Gurion wasn't Jewish then, because he didn't keep Shabbat, right? That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. So the point is what he gets. So your answer is he's not a practicing Jew. Well, what kind of definition is that then? So what is a practicing Jew and not practicing Jew? Okay, so let me throw out the following, and we're going to wrap it up for this section. We're not going to get to this actually, but it gives you a little background to what we're getting at. There are actually two issues involved. One is belief, which is religion, and one is nation. Religion defines people who are members who share a belief. They share a certain perspective on life. Set examples. People who accept Muhammad, they're called Muslims. People who accept Jesus, they're called Christians. People who accept the beliefs of Judaism, to believe the beliefs of Judaism, really don't have a term for that. Okay? Pardon? Well, no. When I'm talking about the group. I'm saying the group. In other words, we know Muslims, people do this. What group do you belong to if you are someone who believes in Judaism? Now, the first response of people is you're a Jew. That's a populist belief. It's a colloquial belief. Basically, is most likely practically what makes up a Jew. You know, if you go out in America, a Jew is basically defined as someone who believes in Judaism. But from Jewish legal perspective, from Jewish thought, you're not Jewish. Believing in Judaism is not really a factor in your identity as a Jew. Because the fact is that it is possible for a person who's not a Jew to also believe in Judaism. Okay? Perhaps one of the most famous individuals, according to one viewpoint in the Talmud, of an individual who believed in Judaism but was not Jewish is Job, from the book of Job. There's different disagreements of who he was. One viewpoint is he was a non-Jew who happened to believe in Judaism. Okay? And there are people today who define themselves as believers in Judaism who are not Jewish. Okay? They call themselves Noachites. And if you go on if you do a Google on that, find there's a whole website. There's many websites devoted to Noachites. There's even something called Wiki Noah, which tells us all about Noahism, which is their term for non-Jews believing in Judaism. Okay, because what does it mean to believe in Judaism? It's a certain perspective on reality. God, from perspective of Hashem. Moshe got some texts on Sinai called the Torah. All the things that you heard about in terms of the beliefs of Judaism, beliefs of Orthodox Judaism, they're from a religious perspective, they're perspectives of reality. Okay? And you are not Jewish. Jewish identity is not defined by whether you believe in it or not. You believe in it makes you someone who believes in this in this religion. Now, the truth is that most people who believe in this religion are Jews. The people the nation that's singled out within this religion is the Jewish nation. But the point is that really the starting point of this definition is that there is a religion called Judaism, or there's a religion which has a called term, or Orthodox Judaism, whatever, who has a certain set of beliefs. Now, this religion makes a distinction based upon nationality. Okay? That distinction, that this religion makes a distinction whether you are a member of the Jewish nation or you're not a member of the Jewish nation. If you're not a member of the Jewish nation, right, then you have a certain set of laws that reflect your code of behavior. That's called the laws of Noah, the 7 laws of Noah, or Noahide law. So the fact is that this religion, a belief system, makes a distinction between nations, says most nations have to follow this code of behavior. Whereas one nation, the Jewish nation, which has a different code of behavior. That's the distinction. Okay? And what makes you a member of this Jewish nation? Well, the first definition is, like the national definition, born to a Jewish mother. So you're born to a Jewish mother, you're part of the Jewish nation. Now, pursuant to the belief system of this religion, what's the distinction if you're born to this nation or not? It is whether you have these commands or these commands. Okay? So within Jewish law, within this religion, it makes a distinction between these nations. And if you are a non-Jew, so now we have actually 4 categories. A non-Jew who does not follow the religious directives of the religion, a non-Jew who follows the religious directives of this religion, okay? A Jew who follows the religious directions of this religion, and a non-Jew, and a Jew who does not follow those religious directions. Your term, when you talk to a practicing Jew, basically what you're saying is that within this definition of the nation, within this religious perspective, right, the religion says these are the responsibilities of the nation, then the one who's meeting those responsibilities, you define as a practicing Jew. Now, the fact is, I don't want to get into that more, but I do want to get back to is that the one big difference here is that you're now talking, what does it mean within the perspective of the religion to become a member, to become a Jew? So people talk about conversion. The truth is that Judaism, the religion, already expects non-Jews to believe in it. It does not make a distinction between whether you believe or you don't believe, or whether you're a Jew who believes or doesn't believe. Okay, so a non-Jew who wants to convert, if it's a religious term, conversion means accepting the religion. Okay, well, you already should be accepting the religion, because you have non-Jews who can accept the religion. So accepting the religion doesn't make you Jewish. What happens? So what really is behind conversion? I said it was immigration, because of becoming a citizen. It means a non-Jew who wishes to become part of the Jewish nation. Now, what is necessary for someone who wants to become a citizen? Like, if you want to become a citizen of Canada, what do you need to do?
Live here with substantial amount of time.
And then after you meet that criteria, what else you have to do?
Follow the test, pass the test.
And what's the final act? Was it all in the news? What? Loyalty. You have to, right? There was a whole big thing news where the person, where this guy had to make an oath, and he made oath, and so on. So the fact is if you want, according to the laws, and this is where it gets into in terms of Israel, in terms of the issue in Israel, if a non-Jew wishes to become a member of the Jewish people, okay, what are the standards that the Jewish people set for someone wishing to become a citizen? And the fact is that the most basic standard would be a statement of commitment to Jewish law, an oath to allegiance to be a good citizen. Okay? The question is what is the oath of, what should be the oath of allegiance to becoming a member of this nation? That's really what's going on. What is the standard that we as a nation are presenting for people who want to become part of our nation? But the fact is they already have to believe, according to Jewish law, they should already be believing in the religion, because it's the religion that makes the distinction between this nation and that nation. That's a classic perception from Jewish law.
But if you were to be a member of Israel, you'd be an Israeli, not necessarily Jewish. But when you're talking about different nations,
yes,
to Canada or moving to wherever.
Yes, the fact is there's a difference. There's a big difference between Israel and the Jewish nation. The fact is that's one of the problems. The problem is in Israel, and there's other people who speak about this, that one of the issues with Israel is if Israel wants to be a Jewish nation, then that's one definition. But Israel actually wants to be both Jewish and also meet other definitions that meet the standards of democracy and so forth and so forth. So therefore, how those merge, the fact is if you read the Declaration of Independence of Israel, it's totally a contradiction. And a lot of people point this out because it says we give everyone all rights and then we want to say Jews are special. Well, you can't say Jews are different and then give everyone equal rights. Okay? Unless, if you want to say, like we talk about Israeli citizens, but then we have Muslims who become an Israeli citizen, therefore being a member of Israel, being pursuant to the nation of Israel, is not the same as the definition of the Jewish nation. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you don't have to be Jewish to learn Judaism or to believe in Judaism.
Right.
The example of Job.
Right.
If that's the case, then why is it so problematic to teach Torah to non-Jews if it's perfectly fine to be non-Jewish and learn Judaism?
The fact is, it's a very interesting question. The truth is that that's something we're going to get into with this thing, because the fact is that's going to be a concept he's going to bring up. Okay, let me put that on hold as we discuss it from this perspective, as we go through this, because that's going to be an issue. The truth is there's certain aspects of Judaism that are universal, and there's other aspects like the laws of kashrut. It's important for a non-Jew to know the laws of kashrut in terms of keeping kosher, because they don't have the obligation to keep kosher. We'll get into that, because there's certain laws of within the religion that really only apply to the Jewish nation. That's one place where they make a distinction. Okay? Anyways, but the point is what I'm just getting at here, I just want to point out from here, is that the distinction that we look at in terms of the classic definition of ger, what we usually just call a convert, really what it is a person becoming a citizen of the nation of Israel. A nation of Israel, like Jewish nation, not the state of Israel, but a nation. We're looking at this from a Jewish halachic perspective. From the halachic perspective, the difference between the Jewish nation and other nations is the obligation on the person. A person who wishes to become a member of the Jewish nation is a person who wishes to switch from having non-Jewish obligations to Jewish obligations. Therefore, it's a nationalistic switch. Okay? It's not about their beliefs. As a non-Jew, they can have almost the same beliefs as a Jew. The point is that in that shift, they now going through a citizenship procedure and a citizenship test. Do you accept the obligations of this nation and what it means to be a good citizen within this nation? And if you can, then the court can make you a citizen the same way that the Beis Din can make you a citizen of the Jewish people, okay, a member of the Jewish nation, the same way that a Canadian court can make someone a Canadian citizen. And that's what it really comes down to. So from a Jewish halachic perspective, being a Jew is being a member of a nation. That nation's significance is based upon the belief of Judaism, but the belief of Judaism is a much bigger house than Jewish identity. Now that's where we have to start with the word ger. which we'll get further into. The starting point of the word ger, it's not really convert, it is a citizen who has immigrated to become part of the Jewish nation. Okay? And that and that's, we have to understand, and to become part of the Jewish nation, to become a citizen has to make some type of allegiance to the nation. And what you have is, like in Canada, if a person wants to become, a person can be born a Canadian citizen, he can actually hate Canada. He totally can't stand Canada. But he's born to Canadian parents, he becomes a Canadian citizen. They're having this problem in the States because they have people who are born, actually problems in England. In England, there's people are born, there are people who are born into citizenship and they really don't care about the country. So the fact is, we can have the same thing with our nation. We have people being born Jewish and don't care about the nation. But the fact is that, but they're still Jewish because they're born Jewish. They're born into the nation. But if a person wants to become a member of the nation, then they have to make a statement of allegiance and an oath of loyalty to the nation. Okay, and that's like becoming a citizen. Okay, so that's the starting point of understanding this term ger, which we'll further get into it from there.